you have got to forgive yourself. I think that forgiveness plays a really big factor in our healing process and in our ability to move on and get through our old conditioning and kind of shy away from that. We're not on this planet for that long of a time, and I think it's really important that we learn how to practice forgiveness and forgive ourselves sooner than later. Everything that happened before in the past leads us to where we are now, and the present moment leads us to the future. It's all just kind of like a ripple effect. But you have to forgive yourself for what happened, what you decided to do in the past. You have to forgive yourself from the things that are holding you down. It's really easy for us to continue going down a path that we're currently living. If you're living in a lot of anger and resentment, it's easy to continue going down that and continue living in that way rather than just forgiving yourself and the things that kind of brought you to this moment. But forgiveness is one of the most important things and the biggest ways that we can get out of the stickiness and get out of the darkness that we experience in life. Forgiving people is really hard sometimes, especially if they've hurt you in ways that you can't even describe, and you've been through terrible things. It's okay to be angry, and it's okay to be sad about it and just be frustrated, but forgiveness is the only way that is going to help you heal. Just like negativity can bring us down, I believe that the more we live in hatred and anger for people, then the longer that sits in our heart and the stronger it becomes and the more it brings us down. It can be really difficult to forgive people, especially if they hurt you and they've kind of made it hard to live life. But you also have to realize that what they did to you and the role that they played in your life is not what you have to become, and that is not a reflection of who you are. You can choose to be bigger than that. You can be bigger than the negativity and the ickiness that they brought upon you and in your life. You can choose to filter that out and let it flow through you and choose to believe in the light in the world and let them sit in the darkness. You have to let everybody feel how they want to feel. If the negative people that are currently in your lives want to sit in that negativity and want to live by destruction and anger and resentment, then let them do that. Let them live life in darkness, and let them live life in anger, because that is them. That is what they're choosing. That is how they are choosing to live. And that is the energy that they are going to receive. But you don't have to become that. You can choose to become so much greater than that and rise above everything that they tried to bring you down with. You can choose to see the light and be the light. And the energy you put out is the energy you receive. So if you put out lightness and you put out positivity, then you are going to receive that back. And you are not them, and you are not what they tried to turn you into, and you are not the negativity that they walk around with every day. Forgiveness is a process, and I think part of that process is by first realizing that you don't have to take on the darkness and the anger that other people have tried to give you. Once you deflect their negativity, you start to realize that it's actually their loss, and it's their loss for choosing to live life in that way and for carrying that with them. And then you can start to forgive them because you see life in a different way. think another big part of it is the struggle to forgive ourselves. I feel like we kind of have a tendency when things don't go the way we want to beat ourselves up and think that we did something wrong. I feel like a lot of us are really hard on ourselves, and we kind of fail to give ourselves credit. We focus on the things that we did wrong rather than the things that we did right or the things that we achieved. You have to forgive all the past versions of yourself that didn't know how to be authentic or present or positive, the versions of yourself that lived more negativity and focused on darkness, and the version of yourself that was asleep. You have to forgive yourself and forgive those parts of you, and just recognize that every version of you has made you into the you are now and has brought you to this moment. You have to forgive yourself and understand that you are always actively learning how to break old patterns and unfollow old conditioning and move into the light rather than living in the darkness. And you have to forgive yourselves for all the things that you think you did wrong and all the things that you thought you could have done better. Forgiveness leads to freedom, because once you forgive, you don't hold any resentment in your heart. You don't hold any of the darkness that they tried to give you and the darkness that they tried to project onto your life, because you realize that you are not that, and you are so much more than darkness, because you are the light, and you are everything good in this world, and you are a spirit and a soul living in a world that is sometimes filled with darkness, but you can choose to radiate love and radiate light and be better than how somebody treated you. And you can choose to forgive people and understand that that's the life that they're choosing. A lot of the times when people lash out in anger, it is because they don't know what they're doing, and it's because they're not awake. But you can choose to be awake, and you can choose to forgive them, because they don't know what it's like to be present and be awake and be living in light and seeing all the good things in the world, because they're choosing to live in anger, but that doesn't have to be you. And just forgive yourself and stop being so hard on yourself all the time, because you're learning. You need to forgive the past versions of yourself who were sleeping. You need to forgive them for how they responded, because they didn't know, and they were just trying their best. It's all of our first times living, and we're all just trying our best down here. And just like you cut other people some slack, you need to cut yourself slack, because you are also just living and learning and constantly trying to be better. And the more you forgive and the more that you let go and the more that you stay present and stay awake, then the easier it is going to be to get out of old conditioning and to live presently and live in light and love. Something that can help us and make life a little bit easier is music. And that is why we have Wellness with Wallows on this channel. Wellness with Wallows is my segment dedicated to my love for music and the power it holds in helping us get through difficult moments and helping us kind of understand the true realities of life rather than what we kind of get conditioned to down here. I think artists have a really strong power in bringing people together and driving connection and also keeping us awake through their music. During this segment, I like to pick a song that relates to what we discussed and then analyze a couple lyrics and just pick out the beauty in it. So the song I would like to discuss today is Pravda by Vampire Weekend. This song is a really interesting one that I think has a lot of hidden meaning, especially to what we talked about today, like forgiveness and just letting go. The first lyric I would like to point out is my favorite, and it's "Your consciousness is not my problem." And I love this because it relates to basically everything we talk about on this channel and what I was talking about today. How people feel, the way that they interpret their life and the way that they live is not your problem, and that is solely their decision. And you can choose to alter your consciousness, and you can choose to live life in the way that you want. You can choose to see the beauty and see the light that is all around you, because there's so many beautiful things around us that it's overwhelming sometimes, and you can choose to live in that and see that, and you don't have to worry about what other people think. It also just kind of pertains to, yes, you don't have to worry about how other people live their lives, but also you don't have to worry about what they think about you and your life. You know yourself the best, and you don't have to worry about what other people think, because other people's perceptions of you and their perceptions of the world is not your problem, and you are responsible for you and your life. I only have 2 lyrics today, so the second one is the last lyric of the song, and it goes, "And I hope you know your brain's not bulletproof." This is a great lyric because it explains again everything that we kind of talk about on this channel and the things we're talking about today. Your brain, your mind, your consciousness is always going to be changing. I feel like sometimes we wake up every day and our mind just makes us think something completely different than what we thought about the day before. Our mind tries to bring us down, and then other days it builds us up, and it's not bulletproof. There's always something that's going to come in and going to change it and going to alter it, and it's going to try to convince you to live life one way and then live life another way the next day. I feel like it's never consistent, but you can find a balance in that by connecting to your soul and your spirit, because that is who you really are. And just like your mind's not bulletproof, you are not your mind, and you are not the constant thoughts that come in. You are your soul, and you are what your soul and your spirit is drawn to, and you are the light and the love that you feel in your soul, and not the darkness and the craziness and the constant worriness or anxiety that you feel in your mind. And there's ways to quiet that down, and there's ways to just lessen that and lessen the fear, and that is just by being present and being grounded. It takes practice and it takes patience, but it is so worth it, and it's so worth it, and it helps you really, really understand your soul and who you are, and you are filled with so much light and so much love, and your soul is who you are. And don't listen to your non-bulletproof brain, because it's always going to change, and it's always going to try to convince you of something that more often than not is not realistic. So if you take anything away from this video today, I hope it's that you are not the darkness that other people face and try to bring upon you. You are light and you are love, and you don't have to choose to live in that. Your life is what you make of it, and you can choose to make it any way you want. So just continue to forgive and let go, and be gentle on yourself, be gentle with others, and just spread love and light. And I'm here for you always.